Ah, you're back. Again! Welcome to Cafe Le Draw, where we serve only the best coffee and artwork. Last time you guys were here, we took 3 of our favorite Phantom Thieves and reimagined them as Pokemon. And since there are still more members of the Phantom Thieves of Heart, I felt like it was time to do a part 2 and reimagine another 3 characters as Pokemon. Now, hang on, where did I put my... Ah! Here it is. You know the drill, folks. Bust out the app and let the operation begin. Let's start this episode off with the queen herself, Makoto. She's very clever, a bit headstrong, and a bit bossy at times, but my favorite aspect of her is of course her strong resolve for seeing evil punished. Another thing about her that I thought was pretty funny is when she does her move Fists of Justice. It kind of just reminded me of like Jibanyan's Fists of Fury. And after making that comparison, I thought maybe the best type for Makoto should be a cat. Cats are both clever, aloof, and Makoto in the game does kind of stalk you in the hallway a bit, and then scampers off, so I thought it was perfect. Now you could argue that there's already a cat on the team with Morgana, but we'll get to him another time. Now for Makoto, I wanted to definitely try and keep some aspects of her Phantom Thief attire. Definitely had to keep the mask, made her fur follow the same pattern as her suit. Originally I was going to give her those like spiky knuckles, but then I thought she could just use her claws, like her signature move could be the Claws of Justice. Originally she has this long scarf, and I thought, what if that was her tail? Like instead of a regular tail, it's something that represented a tail, kind of like, you know, a Cat Noir and his belt tail. But then I thought, like, well, does that mean that she doesn't have a regular tail? Is there even such a thing as a tailless cat? And funny enough, there is actually. It's called a minx, and they basically have no tails. Well, okay, but they kind of do. They're tiny stubs, but they're referred to as tailless cats, and that's kind of what I based Makoto's design on. Speaking of moves, I honestly imagine she would have like a similar moveset to Lucario. Like, I definitely see Makoto as a fighting steel type. Not just because she's a brawler, but her persona is basically a bicycle, or motorbike I should say, so that's where the steel part would come from. I was also originally going to add wheels to her feet, but then I thought it wouldn't look as good, so I just scrapped that idea. And there she is, folks, our favorite Phantom Thief reimagined as a Pokemon. Up next on the roster is Sophia. Now for Sophia, I immediately felt like her Pokemon persona would be something similar to one of the Tapus from Sun and Moon. When she goes into Phantom Thief mode, she had this hood on, and all you can see are these big blue circles for eyes, which definitely reminded me of Tapu Koko, and that's what I want to go for. Another reason I went with the Tapu design is because when you first meet Sophia, she's like trapped inside this giant box, and I thought, what if that was like her shell that she used to hide or even to protect herself? I definitely want to try and keep her initial shapes with her arms and torso, and for the shell, I've seen that the Tapus can hide back in their shells by closing them in some way, like one half is attached to their hands or even the top of their head. So I thought, what if Sophia had the 2 halves attached to her like long pigtails? I was originally going to give her legs, but then I felt maybe she was fine without legs. Like, she still had the shape. I want to keep her this design. Possibly adding legs or even something that resemble legs might have been too much. And lastly, for the outer shell, I know the Tapus have certain designs on the shells, and I was going to sort of replicate them, but then I opted to give Sophia her own design, something like a combination of her persona with the design of the Phantom Thieves look. And with that, folks, here we have Sophia, our fairy-type Phantom Thief Pokemon. And last but certainly not least, let's end this with Futaba, our master hacker and tech whiz of the group. So for Futaba, I was originally going to go for a robot design, sort of like Magiana, please forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. And then I thought, what if I made her into like an alien, since her persona's first form is a UFO? So as I was doing some like exploration sketches, I remember that in Futaba's palace, it was basically a pyramid, which also represented her tomb. So I want to see what animals were closely related to like Egypt or even just the desert. And that's when I came across the Jerboa. And as soon as I saw the little guy, I thought, that's Futaba. Futaba, while incredibly smart, is also very, very shy and gets timid around strangers. I definitely see her as more as a help or assist kind of Pokemon, one that can both heal and maybe even boost Pokemon skills, kind of like how Futaba does in the game. Like, she'll even create barriers or even protect you from when you get kills. And now for this design, I tried to keep as much of Futaba's design as I could see fit. We definitely needed the goggles. I wanted to give her some cool patterns like that multicolored stripes we see on her Persona's second form. I was going to try and add her long hair, but then I thought it kind of looked weird, so I went for something like a bit more simplistic, but definitely add a touch of her hair's color at least. Now for the tail, I was also originally going to make the tip like look like a computer mouse. I know it's cheesy, but then I changed it to a USB connector, so then that way she can like plug into any device if she wants to hack it, and I thought that made a lot more sense. Now because this Pokemon is very skittish around trainers and will try to hide, I thought so maybe this Pokemon prefers to hide in dark places, so maybe she could be like a ghost or maybe just like a dark type. Her massive ears could be used to pick up Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Her long legs will allow her to jump high and sprint away fast, which is pretty much what Futaba does with strangers. So if you do want to befriend this Pokemon, you have to be very patient with her and maybe get on her good side with some anime figures. And with that, folks, here we have it, our third and final Phantom Thief Pokemon of the evening, Futaba, the electric dark type Pokemon. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. There's still a ton of other characters in the Persona 5 universe to tackle should we wish to do a part 3. If there is a character you want me to tackle next time, you can always leave a comment down below. So until then, thanks for watching, please like and subscribe if you haven't, and remember, sometimes you need a blank canvas to create a masterpiece.